10 o'clock. No one else is online with me, but I'm going to go ahead and get started anyway. I'll remind you, obviously, since you're watching this on a video and not with me, it's YouTube, so you can speed this up. If you look at the little gear icon at the bottom of the screen, you can, well, make it go faster. You could also slow it down if you needed to for some reason. Anyway, this is going to go as usual. You can get extra credit for watching this by sending me a list of attendance words or attendance phrases. And the last attendance word or attendance phrase is going to be you asking me a question about the material presented in this video. So keep that in mind as I go through. And then another way you can get extra credit, you can do both of these or either of these, whatever you want. If you want the extra credit applied directly to this week's discussion, this module's discussion, then you can summarize what I put in this video. So I'll just show you. Let's go over here. I'll just use a different course as an example because I just want to show you what it looks like. If you go to the discussions, bear with me. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. All right. So if you go to the discussions, again, to get your extra credit, add a discussion topic, and you could put, I don't know, maybe extra. Oh, it looks like somebody's trying to attend. And hopefully they're in. Huh. Anyway, like I said, there we go. Hey, Brian, I've already started, so bear with me. I'm going to keep going. I'm just discussing how you can get extra credit for watching this video, or for you. I'll talk to you later. But anyway, again, you can summarize it. So if you go to this week's discussion, add it, for the name of your discussion, it could be edit credit, extra credit, meeting summary, right? And then just write down what I put. Obviously, you want it to be thorough, but also since it's a summary, you wouldn't want to put like a whole transcript, right? You want to just summarize it and hit the keynotes, and that's one of the ways you can get extra credit. And also, on that note, I will be sharing this document with you. From now, I just have this running list now of stuff I want to talk about in these meetings, so I'll share that with you as well. Yeah, so that's how you get the extra credit. And first of all, again, Brian, since you're meeting with me, you don't need to send in the attendance words, but I will request you please to send me an email requesting your extra credit. But for the rest of you, the first phrase for extra credit is going to be right, as in the opposite of left. So right is the first word for extra credit. Before I jump into what I plan to talk about, Brian, did you have any specific questions or any particular requests that anything you want me to discuss specifically?
No.
Perfect. All right. I'll try to make this quick. Time is valuable. I don't want to waste your time. So we're in the week 2 of module 6. So I don't really have much new to say. I still have a lot of grading to do. So the feedback isn't going to be that specific. Plus, the feedback, at least for the discussions, is pretty much the same. So let's just jump into it. Again, I'll remind you have to use sources, whether it's your initial reply or your initial post or your 2 replies. You need to use sources. It used to be I would reply to you and say, hey, if you didn't put sources, what are your sources for this? Or if you did it incorrectly, like which information came from which source, whatever the mistake may be, I used to reply to it and ask you and give you the opportunity to fix the mistake. But we're almost to module 7 now. We're almost towards the end of the semester. So at this point, you shouldn't be making those mistakes. From now on, you'll just get a 0 on that post. And again, just as always, you can always make up for that by doing more than 2 replies and or doing the extra credit. Any questions do you have any questions about that? All right. One mistake I've been seeing is, and this is mentioned in this the document that says, how to use sources. Sometimes I've seen students direct their reader to read their source, and that's not what you need to do. I mean, you can offer that, but you need to at least present some information that came from that source. Like, for example, these are the reasons that, here's how coal is bad for the economy or bad for the environment and good for the economy. And then you list out, some of the stuff that was in a particular website, for example. But you wouldn't say, here's a website that has all the reasons that burning coal is bad for the environment, good for the economy. Go ahead and read it, right? You don't want to do that. Summarize it. Use the information in your source. Don't use AI. That's nothing new. Don't use it to write it or even rewrite it. This is a 100 level course. I'm not very picky with grammar and all that. So I'm not, you're not going to lose points if it's just not written properly, grammatically correct, things like that. Quote your sources. So if you have any words that came directly from your source, you need to use quotation marks. Otherwise, that's called plagiarism, and you'll get a 0. And again, that's how you make up for it, is doing extra posts to make up for it. I've also seen this week. People have copying themselves, right? So student A will put their initial post, student B replies with something, and then student B uses that same exact reply for a different student. You know what I mean? Like, so don't copy your classmates and don't copy yourself, right? If your 2 replies shouldn't be the same, even if there's slight differences, that's not good either, right? Write 2 unique new replies. Let's see. Again, I've been saying this is the same feedback I've been giving all semester. I have a feeling anybody who's still making this mistake is just not watching these videos. But when you reply to somebody, you should add to the discussion, right? Add some information. You shouldn't be asking questions. You can if you want for the sake of conversation, but for the sake of grading, you shouldn't be necessarily asking for opinions or providing feedback or, I liked your post. You did a good job doing this. And again, for the sake of conversation, that's great. Feel free to do it. But for the sake of grading, you need to add to the discussion, add to the conversation, add information, add a different perspective. Another big mistake I've been seeing, and I've been letting it go, but it's, again, we're late in the semester, so I think you're going to start seeing more deductions for this. Your initial post is always due on the first Sunday, right? So this past Sunday, your initial post was due for Module 6, and your replies are due the following Sunday. So this coming Sunday, your initial replies are due. Speaking of that, if you missed the deadline, if you didn't do your initial post this past Sunday, then go ahead and do it now. The sooner you turn it in, the better. I'll remind you, the official policy is no late work is accepted. That's what's in the syllabus. The unofficial policy is I'm saying go ahead and do it. The sooner you turn it in, the more likely I will be to have time to grade it, because late work and corrections are at the bottom of my priority list. And the last thing for discussions that is not on here, I'll go ahead and put it here since I'll be sharing this with you later. I am here to help, right? So once again, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but when you're writing your discussion, if you need, or any assignment, when you're doing any assignment, if you need my help and walk you through how to do it, I'm happy to do that. Another option is, if you've done your assignment and you're about to submit it, spend 5 minutes, meet me online. Let me quickly look it over and tell you all the big stuff, right? So you might get 0 credit for a big mistake, and I can point it out to you. And then, of course, again, the third option is to meet me online after I've graded something, so I can give you detailed feedback and a 5% boost to your grade. So that's it for the discussions. I don't even have anything specific to say about any of the specific topics in the Module 6 discussion. It's just the same stuff I've been saying all semester, basically. Nothing new. So any questions about the discussions? And if you're silent, I'll just take that to be no questions. All right. So the next word for attendance is the word help. H-E-L-P. Right there is the next word. All right, let's really quickly talk about the lab. Obviously, this is week 2 of Module 6. So some of you have already done the lab, but really quickly, I want to look at something with you. And let me remind myself of the notes so I stay on track and don't go on tangents. Oh yeah, when doing the video question, actually, this is new, or excuse me, old. I'm changing this up, and this is what I'm about to explain. So let me just erase this. So people have been having an issue writing their course number. Excuse me. There we go. They've had an issue writing their course number and section number. So what I'm doing, is changing it up, because since people keep messing it up from now on, never mind. Okay, I still need to fix this one. Anyway, yes, really quickly, I just want to remind you that when you answer these questions and it says, what is your course, and I need your full name and your course and section number, right? So, and I used Bio 35004 as an example. So if you're watching this video and you're in this course, then your correct answer is Bio 101-01. And the reason that's important is because, when I go to grade it, I'll do this, right? So I'll go over here. See, like right now I have 34 responses. There's going to be a lot more I just hit Control F, right? And I can do 101. Oh, and it looks like there's none there. Oh, excuse me. That's why. Just in case you're wondering why, right? So 101, right? So now you can see I can go through and look at all the people who are in 10101, right? That's why I need it. And I'm, to be completely honest, it's because I just don't have time to go searching for everybody's answers. So please do that. The thing I was trying to mention that I'm going to explain here, let's do this. So I'm trying to change that since people are messing it up. So for example, and I don't know if this is one of those labs that you have to do, if this is only for my in-person lab or my in-person course, but still this example will suffice. So moving forward, you might see something like this. Now with the questions, I've stopped asking that, right? So now when you go to answer video questions, it reminds you right here, or it just records your email, right? And then when you're done with it, it'll give you results. And I just need you to screenshot those results and put it into the document, right? So right here it says insert the screenshot into the document or into the box right there. So pretty straightforward. Hopefully that'll make things easier for you, make things easier for me, make things quicker. And that's how that works. And that's why I've done that. So are there any questions about that, about the video thing? Okay, then really quickly, just to talk about this lab itself specifically, and I mentioned this in the last week, so I'll go really quickly here. It's pretty straightforward, right? You have 3 hypothesis questions, and then you go to this website, and you're going to do a virtual lab, a virtual DNA extraction. It might take a couple seconds to load, like it did, but once you see that big circle, click on it, and there you go. And you're just going to start the lab. It'll be animated. It'll give you a little bit of information. And as you go through this step by step, page by page, you're going to use the information that's in that to answer these questions. So that's pretty simple, right? Just answer these questions. At the end, when you get to the end of the experiment, I need a screenshot of this website. Of course, it'll look different because you'll be at the end of it. And this is the first page of the experiment. But I need a screenshot of the end. This helps demonstrate that you actually did the experiment. And then that's part 1, right? Pretty simple. Part 2 is to watch this video. And I've already talked about that, but yeah, it's the length of a movie. So, be prepared for that. And I will point this out too. Some people don't like how long it is. I get that, but I just want to remind everybody, if you were taking an in-person 101 course as opposed to an online 101 course, you would have 1 lab due per week. And each one of those labs, we would meet for 1 hour and 50 minutes. So really, as long as you're not taking more than 1 hour and 50 minutes per week to do a lab, you're not in a bad situation. So just wanted to remind you of that. The other thing I want to mention is, yes, this is part 2 right here. And yes, this is part 1, but the order, it doesn't matter how you do it, right? So do it in whichever order you want. Yeah, and that's it. Speaking of, really quickly too, and this is not on the notes. Maybe I'll add it to the notes before I share it with you. But when it comes to extra credit, well, not only with these labs, but these discussions, please, if you have some ideas of something like, hey, why don't we do this? This is very relevant to Module 6. This would be a great discussion topic, or this would be a great thing to look into for lab. If you have ideas, please let me know. Right? I want these courses to be your courses. I want them to be as fun as they can be, and I know that's a challenge. So, please give me your ideas, and you'll get extra credit for your ideas, especially if they're really good ideas. Yeah. So anyway, any questions about Lab 6? All right. So the next word for attendance is highlighted on the screen. So this time I'm not going to say it. So if you're watching this video and you're laid back and relaxed with your eyes closed, I just need you to open it up for a second and see the word that I am highlighting right now. That is the next word for attendance. And since Brian didn't say anything about having any questions about Lab 6, let's really quickly talk about Exam 3. This is due on Sunday. Make sure you don't miss the due date. Also, that means you will no longer be allowed to retake Exam 2, which means, speaking of Exam 2, that means you will be able to meet me online so I can give you feedback on Exam 2 and give you all the correct answers for Exam 2 and give you a 5% boost to your Exam 2 grade. So again, you can still retake it as many times as you want, but after starting on Monday, then you can meet me and get all those correct answers. And that's important because the final exam, half of it is based on the first 3 exams. So your first 3 exams are your study guide for the final exam. So obviously it helps to have all the correct answers. So any questions about the due dates? All right. As a reminder, your quizzes are your study guides. Not much else to say about that. And this one I already mentioned. Oh yeah, speaking of which, the quizzes being your study guides. Same thing that I said about the exams, the old exams also applies to the quizzes. So it's kind of hard to use the quizzes as study guides if you don't have all the correct answers. So any quizzes, I specifically wrote 1 through 5 here, but any quizzes that you've done, I can meet you, I can give you all the correct answers, and I can give you a 5% boost to that grade. And then the last thing I'll mention about the exam, again, you have 50 minutes to answer about 50 questions. If you need more time, you can meet me online. As long as I can proctor your exam and ensure that you are taking a closed book exam, then I don't care how long it takes you to do it. So just let me know. And I think that's all I have for this meeting. Brian, did you have any questions or anything you think I should address before we hang up?
One question is, when is it just during your office hours we meet to get those correct answers for the exams?
I shoot for office hours. That would be best for me, but
Okay.
pretty much any day, any weekday before 4 p.m., I can do
Okay.
that.
All right.
But that's a great question. But that being said, feel free to ask me for any hours. Like, I might not be able to do it, but if you're like, oh man, I can't meet you unless it's a Thursday at 6 p.m., I'll see what I can do. Right. So I'm just telling you, I prefer
Yeah.
before 4 p.m. on weekdays. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask me for any hours, not just getting those
All right.
answers, but also for proctoring the exam, especially for proctoring the exam, because in that situation, I'll just have it on my phone and I can just see you and hear you, and I'll just go about my business. Like, if I'm
Okay.
cooking, I'll be cooking or whatever it may be. So yeah, great question.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I guess before we go, I'll just really quickly reiterate what I said at the beginning. To get extra credit for this, Brian, all you need to do is email me and say, hey, can I get that extra credit? Everyone else, since you watched the video, just to remind you, you need to send me those list of words. And then again, one question about the information that I presented in this video. And then finally, the other way you can get extra credit for this, you can do either or both. The other way you can do it is go to the Module 6 discussion and summarize what I wrote so your classmates can benefit from that. And obviously, once I've seen what you've written, I might reply and clarify some things or maybe add some information. So yeah, it would be very handy. And that's all I have. That was a quick meeting. Very good. I don't obviously if anybody needs me, let me know. I'm here to help.